Hi there. Now, as usual, I don't think about what I'm going to talk about. I don't plan it. Like, before I put this on, there was a heart-based advert on YouTube about Gaia, about the company Gaia.com, I think that's what it's called. But yeah, I want to talk about that. I want to talk about my awakening in general, because that's probably the easiest way to go about this and explaining this. Is what happened to me is I had an unexpected spiritual awakening, and the awakening itself is quite personal. I don't really talk about all the things that I experienced in these videos, because some of it was very, very deep. It was a very deep experience, you know, and I don't think many would understand it as well. Even a lot of people in the spiritual community, you might have done a course on something, but this kind of I couldn't make a course up and give this to someone, because it's something that is within you. It's a deep thing, and I know that, and that's why I'm not really, I'm not going to lie to you and say that I'm going to miraculously make a course up and, in the future and make you awakened. I can tell you how I did it, and that everything's within, but no one can give you this. So any courses that you do, any books that you read, it's all rubbish. And I didn't know anything about this kind of stuff. My mother was a psychic and communicated with spirits and stuff of that nature, but this awakening thing was completely even new to my mother, and it would have been new to weird to the family as well, because they communicated with spirits and things like that, and seeing your fortunes, and things like that, and many other things as well. But this is a different kind of thing to that, but it's still related in the same kind of field. But my awakening, and it led to a lot of healing, and I'm 32 now, and I haven't had any depression since the age of 28, and this is really great. I don't get any depression. What this awakening helped me do was to manage my stress, and that managed the depression. And then it just faded. It when I was 28 and it went away. Before that, it was fading. I thought to myself, this depression's fading. And then once it went away, then the path went even deeper, and then I started to get relentless knowledge. And it's very healing for me when I talk about this, because in this I might be talking like the therapist or the healer, but to me, I think that I'm the one that's really benefiting the most, because of the fact that it's very healing for me to go back into this awakening, and it really heals me a lot as well. I don't know if that's very comforting for a healer to say, or someone that's on a healer path, but that is the way it is for me. I see myself as, I think that I've got a sensitivity / innocence about me, and I think that is how the awakening happened. It just feels like there was a sensitivity. I think there's an innocence about me, an unknown element or something like that, and I think that innocence is like power. It's, some people think it's vulnerable, but I've realized it's very powerful. If you've got an innocence about you, or if you're very open in front of people, you don't mean to do it, but you've got this sensitivity, and I think this is the ones that could get an awakening, or could be into this kind of, not just spiritual awakening, but this kind of thing. But the whole point of what I'm getting towards is sexuality. And I wanted to talk about my awakening first, because I didn't want to dirty it or anything like that. It's sexuality and sex and things of that nature have been twisted in this reality. I've learned this awakening has showed me that sexuality is actually what we all are by ourselves, and that we need not a lover outside of ourselves. The divine feminine and divine masculine are actually within you, but they're split to experience each other, because when they experience each other they become one. It ascends them higher, it sends the one thing higher. And this is what people talk about twin flames, but that's the purpose for it. But you don't need this lover, an external lover. What has happened is some sort of perceptual takeover has happened, because I've seen some people on YouTube talk about it. Someone said to me a while ago that I say things that Eckhart Tolle says, and so I looked him up, and he said that we were all once in a golden age of enlightenment. Now, how do you get from that to this? You would have to have a perceptual takeover. So some force, in my opinion, has altered the perceptions and made, you see it all the time on YouTube. Like I watch these people sometimes and they think they're so enlightened, but they're like down in sex, and they'll be talking about porn, and they'll say, and what is porn? It's just sex. But but porn and sexuality in general has been manipulated to look like or be something that isn't of love. When sexuality and that kind of stuff is what we are, it's love. But it's been manipulated. And it's not actually the people's fault for thinking that way about sex or porn, or the porn people themselves. They don't know where the manipulations come from. They don't know they're brainwashed. The problem is some perceptual thing has happened. But what's happening is we're going through a global spiritual awakening. And where people, when I had this awakening, a few years later, I started looking on video on YouTube, and I started to try and find what's going on. I didn't know. I knew it was a spiritual experience. My mum being a psychic, and she knew it was spiritual, but no one could help me because I didn't know. And so I had to find out myself, and I looked up I found the awakening. Felt like by accident, and basically I realized, God, I'm going through this awakening. And that's basically what's happened on the planet. And I found out later that people from all different countries in the world are going through the same or similar experiences. And so this distorted version of sexuality is twisted people. It's actually made people think in their heads instead of their heart. And that's what it's done. It's twisted everything and made people perceive things, not just sexuality, but everything in a way that is going to distort everything. But the fact, that's the reason why the system is trying to rush out 5G and all the smart grid. It's trying to target it's basically trying to target the ones who aren't awake yet, because the system knows that if enough people awaken to this Gaia, this love, this real motherly force that is actually everywhere. If you look around you, it's always there. If enough people awaken to this, then that means that it's game over for the current system. And I believe the current system is a demonic force that has altered this, because it knows that our strength is love, you see. Our strength is love. And I just wanted to do a talk about that, really. But what happens is people's perceptions of things, it's like you can't communicate with someone who's not awake. It's like someone who's had a spiritual awakening is talking on a different dimension or consciousness or something. And the humans who haven't had these experiences, they go by every word as the words are said, but they're not feeling your vibration. They're not vibing with you. It's like, that's what it's like for the people lower down. And this is the plan. This is the whole point, to cause confusion. And there will be confusion in the spiritual awakening, as it is, as is just now. Because the people that are a bit lower down in their path are meant to be like that at this time. Because also, what I've realized also, that everything's infinity. Everything has to come from nothingness, which is infinity. That means that everything has been tried and tested an infinite number of times. That means that everything's perfect. That means we get the infinitely perfected version of this moment. So that's why everything is in perfect divine order. So that's the thing. So anyone who's going through a spiritual awakening, I would say to you, don't, just understand that. And your job is to be an example, but to just go, because remember, you can only change yourself. And when you change yourself, you change your energy. That affects the next energy. When we all do this, we become one. We become like one collective energy, like a collective consciousness of this tantric life force euphoria. It's like I could say to you that tantric sex is about not touching you. But I don't actually mean that. What I mean is that I don't have to touch you to do anything to you. Because all the love and the euphoria that you think is outward is all within you. So when you start doing this, you're going within, healing. The unhealed parts are the blockages for the love, for this divinity. So as you heal it, so what this is going to do, this awaken, in a nutshell, is heal us so we're not needy. So then in the future, people won't look for relationships to get them away from presence. They won't take refuge in a person or use a person as your healer, because that's not their job. That's not. So what it means is that people with this awakening, if they are in relationships in the future, their relationships will not be needy, so the love will be pure, without any neediness. And there will also be a lot, and because the reason there's no neediness is because they've healed and there's no neediness anymore, and that means your love is pure. And this is how we awaken to what we are, which is just Gaia. This is a transition from planet Earth to planet Gaia. And that's it. That's what this is. That doesn't mean that women are more important than men. I just want to say this gets confused. No. Because you're both one of the same, but you are split. That we are split to experience each other and then become one again. And the reason the one that is the mother, the female side is the one that is breeding, is because they are the closest to Gaia. Even the asleep women. You'll know that in general, that women are naturally more sensitive than men. Like I've seen a lot of, when I was, looking on YouTube a few years into my awakening, I saw a lot of spiritually awakened women, but there wasn't that many men, only a few. And so that's what we need. We need more awakened men. But the two are the same one, you see. Doesn't mean there's any better or worse. We're all one of the same love, Gaia, having different experiences. We are all one. Thank you for watching and listening. Thank you.